Welcome back to BunkaiGaming, this is Matt. So, is The Division dead? A lot of people have claimed that it is, but I think this is a little bit far from the truth. The game's had an extremely rocky start, and it's not going to ever fully recover from the fallout of the problems and issues that it's had. But is the game actually dead? No, I don't think it's anything but that. There's a lot of people out there who are still supporting Ubisoft and Massive, and you've only got to see how much the community is involved in giving the feedback and support to Ubisoft and Massive to understand how much we want this game to succeed. So, if the game was truly dead, we wouldn't be offering that support and help, and we wouldn't bother to help Ubisoft and Massive fix the game. What we would have done instead is just moved on to the next game and enjoyed that and not forgotten about this game. So I don't think it's dead at this point in time. But we all have to admit that Ubisoft has made a lot of blunders. And they've only continued to compound the problem with poor choices. But I think they have an opportunity here to bring people back to the game when the upcoming 1.2 patch comes out. But the problem is they have a lot riding on this patch. And unless they really knock it out of the ballpark, I think the remaining confidence that the current player base has will just evaporate very quickly. Now, we've seen this happen with other games. Destiny had a very rocky start when it first released, and a lot of people were reporting problems with content and loot. But they had a great opportunity when they released the raid, which was the Vault of Glass raid, which absolutely nailed it for people and convinced them that it was a really good game. Ubisoft and Massive have to do something similar with this next patch, or that is it for the game. In Ubisoft Massive's recent Twitch stream, they discussed about some of the upcoming changes to the loot and how they're going to reinvigorate PvE. They didn't go into specific details about how that's going to be achieved, but these are definitely two areas that need to be looked into and changed a great deal. With any loot-driven game, the whole idea behind it is to be able to have some kind of progression. And this is the problem at the moment within the Division, is that progression is being held back by the loot that is actually dropping. Also, gaining access to higher level gear is extremely hard unless you're able to run the incursion, which I find is a very difficult experience a lot of the time, because either players are kicking you from groups because your gear level is not high enough, or there's just this ongoing issue of being able to get into the incursion with a group that actually can complete it. So what they need to really do is look at giving us many ways of being able to get the high-end gear. And I don't think it should be just restricted to one particular activity like it is with the incursion at this point in time. They need to expand it out, so say the challenging missions daily, maybe there's an opportunity for some high-level gear to be able to drop. Maybe look at the weekly mission as an opportunity to also drop high-level or high-end gear. So they need to give us many different avenues to be able to get this high-end or high-level gear as such. They can't just pigeon us into one particular activity to do that. Maybe another opportunity is to, with the reinvigoration of PvE, maybe have some high-level, or say level 32 bosses roaming around the PvE world, and you can go fight them. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if I had to spend half an hour fighting a level 32 boss to get a high piece of high-end gear or weapon. That would be actually fun and give the game some kind of benefit in the PvE world. So another problem that we're encountering is, from a PvE perspective, gaining access to high-level blueprints is an extremely hard thing to do. At this point in time, the only location that you can get these blueprints from is the base of operations. But the stock or inventory that is at the base of operations does not change or revolve around at the weekly resets. It has remained static the whole time. So we have a very limited stock that we can actually access and buy from. So I think they need to start cycling the stock there at the base of operations to give us a few more choices. I'd also like to see that the advanced weaponry vendor downstairs has a few more named weapons down there. Maybe start cycling his stock. He's had the same stock there since the start of the game. Start utilising the vendors a bit more in the PvE part of the game. Maybe have it so that the safe house vendors now have some high-end weapons for sale at their different various safe houses. Start to utilise those vendors. Start to make them part of the game. Don't make them now just All they are there for is just the look and feel of the game. They don't do anything useful once you reach a certain level. Start to make them part of the game. So let's talk about crafting next. I think materials start to need to return back to the way they were prior to the 1.1 patch, or they need to start at looking at ways to increase the amount of materials that we receive every day. As I discussed in my last Division video, I was worried about when they were going to increase the amount of materials required to craft items and to craft higher level materials. And they have created this shortage as people quickly run out of materials after crafting 1 or 2 high level items. Another frustration point is, why should I at this point in the game be running around the world to collect materials? I think instead of running around, I think they should just make it so the chest or the various material chests at the base of operation just has a set amount of materials that I collect daily, instead of me having to run around the world to get that. It is a very frustrating and annoying point of the game. So from the perspective of the Dark Zone, it's not something I really need to go into these days. Unfortunately, the rewards are very unrewarding when you do go in there. And the only reason I normally do go into the Dark Zone is either to complete a daily or a weekly mission. That's the only reason I'll go in there. And the problems with the hackers and the exploiting and the other issues where people have high level gear and high level weapons and basically just wreck you 10 seconds after you walk in, it's a really frustrating and angering experience. If the upcoming changes in the next patch do not resolve these problems, I think they need to start look at maybe normalizing the Dark Zone. This is similar to something that Destiny has done with their PvP experience, that it doesn't matter how much high level gear or weapons you have, everybody's normalized to a particular level so that everybody's on a level playing field. And I think this is something definitely important for a PvP experience, is to be able to have that level playing field. There's nothing worse than, as a new player, you coming in and getting completely wrecked because somebody else has high level weapons or gear that you do not have. So you need to have that balance within the game. And I think this is a great way to be able to alleviate some of that frustration that people are feeling with the Dark Zone. I think this will also help to highlight people who are maybe exploiting or hacking, because at this point in time it's very difficult to know if a person is just specced out in high level gear and weapons, or maybe from another country say, or is actually hacking. So this will give us an opportunity to say, and point the finger and say, this person is definitely hacking because they've killed me within 3 seconds, because due to the normalization should give you an opportunity to be able to react to a situation. And what Ubisoft and Massive have to remember is, with a loot-based game and progression, you have to be able to allow your players to constantly be progressing and getting the loot at a pretty quick rate. Now, that means that some player spends 3 days in a row getting all that loot very quickly. Let them go do that. All they do is end up spoiling it for themselves. But as players who are more casual or play solo, we know that we want to build up a steady progression. But that should not take many months to do. That should maybe take a couple of weeks to do. So you've got to give us the opportunity to be able to get the loot and be able to utilize it. So as you can see, the things I've discussed in this video aren't very hard to implement. And as players, we want the game to grow and be better and give us the experiences that we really want. And I think that's what we're trying to do at this point in time, is give Ubisoft and Massive that feedback so they can make those changes and make it into the game that we want to see and be able to grow that game. So I think it's very important that they listen to the community, see how they can implement these changes and make the experiences more fun for us. And then I hope that within months and years to come, I'm still playing The Division, because I still enjoy the game. I still play it on a daily basis. So thank you very much. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are below, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Thank you, bye.